Hey, can we talk about the new White Lotus? They're even reheating the Sopranos nachos, giving us a dream sequence. I loved it. The house is literally looks like it's on fire, and we gotta get into it. So this episode is called "The Meaning of Dreams," and here the mother Victoria is dreaming that she's just walking out to sea and letting the sea take her over, and she also notices her son on the beach with his lady boys. She knows. What I like most about this is that it really indicates that Victoria may be oblivious about a lot of things in her family, but she sees what's going on. She just chooses to take her pills and ignore it and live in La La Land. Saxton and her daughter Piper had a good conversation about dreams. They kind of laid out what's going to happen for this episode, saying that everyone has dreams about fire and snakes. And she's like, well, that typically has meaning. And here it shows it does. And speaking of snakes, Chelsea's infatuation with snakes, aka Rick, is going to be the death of her. She says she going to save him or die trying. And God said, challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. She might not make it to see the end of the final episode at this point. Like, she has had more run-ins with death than anybody on this show so far. But I kind of feel like that's an obvious setup, so I don't know. Pam. She finally got her bag full of electronics from the Ratcliffe family. Like, it did not come without some pushback from Saxton, which was surprising because he has been so obviously trying to just do whatever he thinks his father wants, following whatever his father does. But the thought of him being without his corn all week was just too much for my boy. He couldn't take it. Saxon is like a little lapdog following his dad around. And I think it's so messed up that the first time his dad actually gives him any attention, much less some positive reinforcement, was only so that he can manipulate him to take his phone away. That is so messed up, but it really just kind of shows the dynamics about that family. And as soon as their phones were taken away, Saxon's first question is, well, what are we going to do now? Chat, I give you one guess as to what those kids are going to do now. Those flowers are going right on in the attic, baby. Ain't no Wi-Fi in the attics either. Yeah, it's happening. And these two, are you kidding me? Every time they're on screen, I'm just screaming, GTD! GTD! How are they not supposed to fall in love? He is cradling her in a pool. What? I didn't even know that was a fantasy of mine till just now. But it needs to happen quick because Belinda is on to Gary Gregg, and I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm very worried. Have y'all noticed that Rick is always sweating in his scenes, like when nobody else is? Even when he's like, this is from his therapy session, and he's just like in full on sweat. I don't know if it'll be a bullet that'll take him out or his heart, because his stress level is basically at an 8, he said. So I just don't think he's long for this world, period. And this is when he's watching the snake show. At one point, it even looks like he's in the inferno. So there were a lot of snakes and fire around Rick's whole storyline as well, because I think his feelings coming to the surface have just unnerved him. And he doesn't know how to process this. He's been suppressing these feelings his whole life. Luckily, he's at a nice resort with a nice therapist to help him work this out. We'll see how that goes. Hey, people, check in on your white friends. Check in on your independents and see how they're voting, because as you can tell from the looks of horror on Jacqueline's face, she had no idea her little Austin, Texas friend was down there voting red. Shout out to the hotel owner. I don't even want to try to say her name like Fabian and Rick were doing, but my girl really put that shit on. Did y'all notice the outfit at breakfast and the bag? Yeah, let's get into that bag one time. Let me know if I missed anything, if you have any theories as well. See y'all next week.